What? Are you still mad that I stole your boyfriend?
The childhood friend who snatched away my soon-to-be spouse had the nerve to invite me to their wedding. But that's not all.
You're still single, right? Sorry, I took your hot, successful boyfriend.
Infuriated by her thoughtless words, I felt compelled to confront her with a certain truth. More importantly, are you sure about your husband? What is going to happen to this homewrecker who didn't take my warning seriously? My name is Emily. I'm 28 and work at a small company. In a small workplace, I have to do everything. Though it feels odd to say it myself, I believe I'm doing an outstanding job. I have been dating my boyfriend, Mark, for 3 years. I fell head over heels for him, and after I made a move on him, we started dating. Mark and I have discussed marriage since we're both at the right age. But we haven't gotten into specifics. The reason is we don't see eye to eye on our life after marriage. He wants me to be a full-time homemaker. I want to continue my career. Mark has been on a straight path through school and now works at a big corporation, truly an elite. His mother was a homemaker who supported him all the way. He apparently wants me to be like his mother, who dedicated her life to her son. But I don't share that elite mindset. I want my children to grow up free and happy. Most of all, I'm not good at household chores. I've never wanted to be a full-time homemaker. These differing opinions are stalling our marriage plans.
Well, it can't be helped. Differences in values are a tough nut to crack, huh?
Feeling worn out by all these issues, I went to a cafe with my friend, Sarah, to vent. The one listening to my story with a wry smile was my childhood friend, Sarah. We've been close since kindergarten and can talk about anything. Even if I became a homemaker in today's world, you never know what might happen, right? His company could hit a rough patch anytime.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I doubt I could find a good job in a hurry if that time comes.
If you keep thinking like that, you'll never get married, will you?
Well, that's true. I leaned back in my chair and gazed at the ceiling of the cafe. Living alone, I manage my own household, but handling chores for two would be a challenge. Even deciding on meals becomes tricky. You can't just settle for convenient store meals every day. If I'm already thinking it's a hassle with just two people, then I'm not cut out for marriage.
Come on, don't say that. I'm meeting Mark later, so I'll get his side of the story for you.
What? Startled by her unexpected words, I instinctively stared at her. You're meeting Mark now?
Oops, didn't I tell you?
This is the first I'm hearing of it.
Really?
My best friend said, laughing heartily. True, I had introduced Mark to Sarah, and the three of us often went out for drinks. I knew they had exchanged contact details, but I had no idea they were meeting without me. She thinks I should be joining them. As I thought about it, Sarah continued, smiling.
He said there's a great seafood place he knows because I mentioned I like fish.
Hearing that, my face fell. I'm not that into fish.
That's why I didn't invite you, Emily.
Oh, right. So they intended to go without me from the start. What's that about? Even if we're close, going out for a meal alone with my boyfriend is just. Both Mark, who remained silent, and Sarah, who spoke so freely, seemed to lack tact. I stared intently at Sarah's face. It was clear soon after that neither had a dictionary that included the word tact.
Sorry, I've fallen for Sarah. Emily, let's break up.
I was speechless.
Sorry about that. I just have more fun with Sarah.
Mark apologized, but without any sign of remorse. I was confused by this new side of Mark, as I thought he was kind. Sarah was smiling and whined in his arm, saying, "I'm sorry."
Sorry, but I can't help my feelings for him.
With a refreshingly shameless smile, Sarah declared,
So yeah, I'm taking your boyfriend, Emily. Sorry about that.
That moment ranked as the most infuriating in my life. Without a doubt, my best friend had stolen the man I was about to marry. Damn it, so annoying. Slamming the beer mug down, I shouted. In the noisy bar, it barely made a scene. Mark didn't like these kinds of bars, and we never came together. It's been a while since I last visited. Sitting across from me were college friends, a married couple, Jake and Natalie, with mixed expressions of concern and amusement.
She is really upset, huh?
She looks really upset.
I once envied them for being so in love and marrying early during our college years. But I was thinking I'd go at my own pace, and look what happened. I never thought my best friend would steal my boyfriend.
Well, with Sarah, it kinda makes sense.
What, really?
Yay, Sarah has always been known for taking other people's boyfriends.
What? That's new to me.
Well, you wouldn't know, Emily, since Mark was your first boyfriend.
Stunned, I just nodded along with Natalie's words, while Jake agreed.
I've been hit on by her a few times myself.
What, you too? Though they went to different universities, they knew Sarah because I introduced her. We invited Sarah to college festivals, and that's how their friendship continued. I'm sorry.
No worries, I never fell for it. Only had eyes for Natalie.
Jake boasted, although I apologized instinctively.
Well, it just shows Mark was that kind of guy. Better you found out before marrying him.
Yeah, I guess. Don't take it too hard. Look on the bright side, my friends advised, and I downed the rest of my beer. That's tasty. Another round.
You're really going at it.
I could never drink like this with Mark.
Oh right, he couldn't handle his liquor, could he?
Yeah, sort of. I nodded to Natalie's remark. It didn't matter anymore. I called the waiter and ordered another draft beer. Those two are history. Time to forget and move on to the future. Deciding this, I threw myself into work even more. After 6 months, the emotional wounds began to heal. Eventually, I stopped thinking about my ex and childhood friend altogether. But life has a way of bringing back memories unasked.
Hey, Emily, how are you doing?
This happened when I went back home after a while. Stepping out to buy some snacks, I heard a too familiar voice I wished to forget. It was Sarah, standing right there. Well, we might have stopped being best friends, but we were still childhood friends. Our parents' homes were close, so it was inevitable. And she, perpetually helping out at home, never really worked, always staying with her parents. But did it have to be such a coincidence? It made me curse fate. Just when my wounds had finally healed. I just want to leave this place quickly. Ignoring my thoughts, Sarah approached me in no time. What do you want? No need for pleasantries.
Don't be like that. Don't glare at me.
She was laughing merrily, as if she had forgotten about the incident 6 months ago.
Still mad about me taking Mark? Emily, you really hold a grudge, huh? Let's forget it and be friends again.
That's something the thief wouldn't say. Despite my irritation, Sarah continued laughing.
Actually, I'm getting married to Mark.
Oh, really? Unfazed by my cold response, Sarah kept smiling.
So Emily, won't you come to the wedding? I want you to give a speech as the friend representative.
She had the nerve to say that. What?
We've known each other the longest, after all. Please, I'm begging you.
I thought I knew her true nature, but there was still more to uncover. Shocked and dazed, Sarah then asked something unexpected.
So, what about you, Emily? Are you married?
What? Should I say I'm the woman whose boyfriend you stole 6 months ago when I was considering marriage? I grimaced.
Oh, right. You're still single, huh?
Sarah laughed, seeing my expression.
Are you still hung up on it?
What?
Sorry for taking your hot, elite boyfriend. Seriously, sorry.
They total waste of time. I just want to leave. Distracted, I decided to reveal something to Sarah. She didn't know about her fiancé, Mark. Hey, Sarah?
Huh? Oh, if you're asking me to set you up with a guy, it's not going to happen. Everyone likes me, but I don't think you're their type.
Ignoring Sarah's words, I said, more importantly, are you okay with your husband being a lightweight drinker?
Huh?
Sarah looked confused, wondering what I was getting at. We often went out for drinks, but he always stuck to non-alcoholic, right? Ever wonder why? He's really bad with alcohol.
Yeah, Mark never drinks, does he? But that's hardly a big deal, right?
Is that so? Well, just a heads up. With a meaningful smile, I turned to leave, giving Sarah a sly grin.
Hey, wait. What about attending the wedding?
Instead of waving goodbye, I left with a gesture, raising just the middle finger of my hand, and walked away without a word. Let's see what happens now. Sometime later, I received a call. It was Sarah. I could have blocked her number, but I kept it for amusement. I'm a bit wicked, I admit. Checking the calendar, it was the day after Sarah and Mark's wedding. Eagerly, I pressed the call button. Hello, Sarah, what's up?
Why didn't you tell me?
As soon as she answered the phone, there was a loud scream in her ear. I instinctively pulled the phone away, but could still clearly hear Sarah's voice.
That guy. He made a scene at the reception.
Really? I nodded calmly as Sarah recounted the events. Oh, really? He drank alcohol at the reception?
Right? He took a sip pushed by friends and got carried away. He's weak but likes alcohol. Then what the heck?
Sarah described how Mark was. He, after one drink, started chugging more and more. Initially, Sarah thought he was just flushing red and quiet, but the moment Mark's boss began his speech,
Shut up.
Suddenly, a loud voice boomed. It was none other than Mark. As Sarah and all the attendees gasped in shock, Mark stood up and, in an unbelievable act, snatched the microphone from his boss. And that's not all. He also tore off the boss's toupee from his head. Yes, the boss's well-known secret. He wore a toupee. Mark had snatched it off, and revealing a perfectly bald head.
1. More bald than the average person.
Amidst the speechless crowd, only Mark seemed pleased.
2. A mysterious bald spot.
Mark burst into laughter, tapping his boss's shiny bald head. Immediately after, a scream echoed through the reception hall. It was from the boss. With a bright red face, the boss snatched his toupee back from Mark and silently left the venue. Luckily, the counting song ended at 3. A crescent moon bald spot. Oh dear.
Did you just say, oh dear? It was a mess even after that.
The commotion was among Mark's company colleagues. Amidst the shouts of "What are you doing?" Mark laughed heartily and downed a glass of champagne. Then, sitting down, there was a moment of silence. Just when it seemed things had calmed down, the ceremony continued. I was impressed that they continued the ceremony, but of course they couldn't have just stopped. And then came the wedding cake. Just as they were about to cut the cake,
He suddenly grabbed my face.
and then I couldn't contain my excitement.
He shoved my face into the cake.
Yes, the best turn of events. Awesome. Really, wow, he sure did something.
Not did something. He made a complete mess of things.
Through the phone, I could hear Sarah's voice, on the verge of tears. Actually, she was probably crying. I've known her long enough to tell even without seeing her face. As I pictured her crying, I burst into laughter. That's so funny. I told you, he can't handle his liquor.
It's not just weak, that's being a drunkard.
Yes, Sarah is right. Mark is a drunkard. Even worse, once sober, he wouldn't remember anything he'd done, which was a real problem. I knew about his bad drinking habits even before we started dating. In fact, when a mutual friend introduced us, that friend had warned about never, ever let Mark drink. However, on our first date, perhaps due to nerves, Mark mistakenly drank from my glass. That's when he really messed up. Well, he made a scene, made a mess, spilled his drink on me, and got all tangled up. To top it off, he tried to strip in the bar, so I had to hurriedly stop him, something I remember clearly. Or rather, I can forget. After that, I made sure never to let him drink alcohol again. I was careful to prevent any mistakes from happening. Luckily, in these times, there are hardly any company drinking parties. Many people drink non-alcoholic beverages, so no one forced alcohol on Mark. He himself seemed to understand that drinking was bad for him, as he consistently stuck to non-alcoholic drinks. Thanks to that, there were no problems and things were peaceful. However, I anticipated that a wedding would be a different story. And almost no one knew about Mark's bad drinking habits. Only I and a few close old friends knew about it, but he betrayed me and had a wedding. So, none of my friends were at the ceremony. As a result, by some fluke, There was not a single person at the reception who knew of his bad drinking habits. And he's spectacularly messed up. That's the story. All's well that ends well, huh? So, what did he end up doing?
He started laughing hysterically at me covered in cake and then suddenly began to strip.
The reception was a cacophony of screams. In the end, Mark, who was about to strip, collapsed and was carried out by the men, ending the event. And Mark doesn't remember any of it.
Exactly. He's acting all nonchalant, like, what about the honeymoon? As if it's the right time for that.
Right, I get you. Hilarious. Apparently, Mark turned pale when he heard the story and showed up at work. And then, while waiting for him to return, Sarah called me to complain.
Why didn't you tell me?
Well, I did say he can't handle his liquor, right?
It's not about being strong or weak. That's not just bad drinking. That's alcohol madness.
It's not my business. Let's just hope he doesn't get fired. With that, Sarah was speechless. Taking in her silence, I quietly hung up the phone. Of course, I blocked her number afterward, so she couldn't contact me again. After that, being childhood friends and all, rumors started to spread around our hometown. According to what I heard from my parents, Mark, who managed to avoid getting fired, was sent off to some backwater branch. He could have made a comeback to the head office if he had tried hard, but instead, he messed up big time, skipping work and ultimately got fired. Sarah, who had planned to marry a high-earning, handsome elite and enjoy a leisurely life as a stay-at-home wife, reluctantly moved to the countryside with him but was furious when he was fired. She demanded a divorce and sought alimony. But then, the tables turned. Mark counterclaimed for alimony, citing her infidelity as the reason. Moving to the countryside, with its lack of entertainment, she started an affair, of all things. And it was with a married person, which is just scandalous. Typical woman who wants other people's men, indeed. The divorce proceedings turned into a quagmire, and the alimony ended up being nullified as both were at fault. They divorced. Mark, back at his parents' place, spiraled into alcohol dependency. On the brink of addiction, his parents admitted him to a clinic for treatment. Who knows how many years it will take for Mark to reintegrate into society. And Sarah, after becoming the talk of the town, she couldn't return home and her whereabouts are now unknown. There was a call to her family once, crying, "I can't make ends meet." But after they turned her away, she went off the grid. Having lived at home and never worked, Sarah had no idea how to make money. Who knows where she is and what she's doing now? It takes years to build a friendship, but only a moment to destroy it. As for me, I've thrown myself into my work and moved on. I think my luck is changing because I've met someone new. He's no high-flying elite, but he's steady at work, has a calm demeanor, and being with him feels safe. We go to bars together, and he doesn't expect me to be a stay-at-home wife. He believes men should do their share of the housework. And now, I see his nervous face in front of me.
Please, marry me. I'll make you happy.
His face is red as he proposes, and I sense a happy future with him.